It is July 7th, 2017, and the worst aviation disaster in history has taken place. An Air Canada Airbus A320, carrying 140 passengers and crew, has crashed into multiple planes at San Francisco International Airport. The plane mistook a taxiway for a runway and landed directly into one of the planes that was idling, creating a deadly chain reaction. Nearly 1,000 people were killed or injured. It was almost history. The prospects of two planes colliding is a terrifying and deadly proposition. Such was the case on March 27, 1977, when KLM Flight 4805 collided with Pan Am Flight 1736 on the runway at Los Rodeos Airport in Tenerife. That disaster killed 583 people and left 61 others injured. The lessons from this disaster were clear. Situational awareness, clear radio communication, and appropriately marked airport infrastructure was needed to prevent a disaster. Those same lessons were almost lost by Air Canada Flight 759. On July 17, 2017, Flight 759, an Air Canada flight from Toronto, was preparing to land at San Francisco International Airport. It was 11:46 p.m. when clearance was given to land on runway 28R, as runway 28L had been closed. The captain and first officer of 759 made an error right off the bat, mistaking 28R for 28L, but they caught this error in plenty of time and immediately realigned their plane. However, Taxiway C is directly parallel to runway 28R. A taxiway is where planes idle before getting clearance for takeoff. At that moment, 4 fully loaded and fully fueled planes were waiting in line. Here's the footage from San Francisco International Airport. 759 is here, coming in for a landing. As it did so, it mistook Taxiway C for 28R. A mere 500 feet separated the runway and the taxiway, so you can almost understand how this mistake occurred. However, the runway and taxiway were lit by different colors, and with different lighting intensities, in order to prevent this exact mistake. As 759 starts to land, its pilots express some confusion. Quote, "And tower. Just to confirm, it's Air Canada 759. We see some lights on the runway there. Confirm we are cleared to land." Air traffic control, then unaware of the mistake that 759 was committing, responded, "Air Canada 759 confirmed. Cleared to land runway 28R. There is no one on 28R but you." 759 gets closer and closer to the ground, and to the 4 pilots on the ground, incoming disaster is apparent. The captain of United Airways 787, that's the one that's first in line, then speaks up. Quote, "Where is this guy going? He's on the taxiway." As this situation continues to unspool, the captain of the second aircraft, right here, flashes his landing lights in an effort to alert the pilots of 759 of the situation. Moments later, 759 flies just feet above Philippines Airlines Flight 115, perhaps as close as 15 feet from its tail. 759 is now bearing down on the third of the 4 planes lined up on the taxiway. Disaster is just seconds away. Thankfully, the captain and co-pilot realize this at the exact same time. The captain begins to execute a go-around, otherwise known as an aborted landing, and rapidly throttles up and pulls up. At the same time, the co-captain says, "Go around, go around." At the same time as that, air traffic control issues a go-around order. The go-around was executed smoothly, and 759 would land safely a few minutes later. How close was this disaster to occurring? One estimate held that Flight 759 got as low as 60 feet before it initiated its go-around. As such, 759 was perhaps as close as 5 seconds away from crashing into the third plane. Another estimate, this one from the private company FlightAware, said that the plane dropped as low as 175 feet. That meant that 759 was 11 seconds away from a collision. It gets even scarier. Just before the go-around order was executed, 759 was possibly as close to 15 feet from the tail of the second plane. A collision like that would certainly have been fatal. So, what did the obviously mandatory investigation show? Funny thing, Matt. The near miss was not mandatorily reportable under federal regulations. However, it was reported 2 days later on July 9th. Flight data could be gathered, but because the plane had flown in multiple other flights, the voice cockpit recorder was actually recorded over. The United States National Transportation Safety Board ultimately found that pilot error was to blame. The error was enhanced by a few factors. First, the crew didn't take advantage of their Instrument Landing System, or ILS. This is a guidance system that makes it easier for planes to land, particularly in unfamiliar or dark areas. Had that system been used, odds are that the lineup error would have been noticed much sooner. It also would have prevented the original lineup error with runway 28L, the closed runway, which the NTSB found added to the near miss. The NTSB found that the visual cues which differentiated between the runway and taxiway were sufficient, and ultimately helped the captain realize he had incorrectly lined up the plane. The report also found that an automated airport surface detection equipment alert would have alerted air traffic controllers to the potential problem. That was another issue that night. Only one air traffic controller was monitoring ground and tower frequencies. 2 normally did so. Perhaps most deadly, fatigue. The captain had not rested for 19 hours, first officer for 12. The NTSB blamed Canadian regulations, and it was noted that American pilots would not have been allowed to fly with such little sleep. If you followed our videos in the past, you know that it usually takes everything going wrong to lead to a disaster. There's almost always a systemic breakdown of safeguards and protections that are designed to stop a disaster. In this instance, confusion, a wrong approach, fatigue, and a lack of proper equipment almost doomed the lives of hundreds, if not thousands. Thankfully, the system proved robust. Enough people, from other pilots to air traffic controllers to the captain himself, ultimately realized what was occurring. The situation was much too close to comfort. It was almost a catastrophe. But almost is still better than deadly. And that is all for this episode of Almost Something. As always, I hope you enjoyed. This is only the 3rd video we've done, so I hope it's been useful. If you liked it, I highly encourage you to click on some of the other videos that we have here, hit that like button, and definitely subscribe. We plan on coming out with even more videos in the future. Have a wonderful day out there, and as always, don't let there be any almost in your life.